Now, the firearms officer who was cleared of killing gangster Chris Kaba will now face a misconduct hearing.
Well, there you go, footage for you from the incident. The specialist shot dead Chris Kaba in September 2022 after he drove at officers in an attempt to smash his way out of a police roadblock. We thought this was finished. It's clearly not finished.
Well, joining us now from our Paddington studio is GBNews security editor Mark White. Mark, this story continues to go on and on.
Yes, I mean, as far as the officer and his family were concerned, they had thought or had hoped they would be able to put this whole sorry episode behind them. But it seems the Independent Office for Police Conduct, this quango that doesn't seem to answer to anyone, has other ideas. And according to many police officers that I've spoken to already this morning, who are absolutely livid, they say that the IOPC just doesn't seem to want to let this one go. Indeed, the Metropolitan Police put out a statement today saying that they strongly urged the IOPC not to pursue gross misconduct proceedings against this officer because the case had been tried in a court of law by this officer's peers, and a jury reached a very quick decision in finding him not guilty after looking into this case in the most minute detail. The officer claimed throughout his trial that he honestly held the belief that he, his colleagues or the wider public were at harm from this individual who was behind the wheel of that vehicle, and when officers tried to stop that vehicle in Streatham in September of 2022, Chris Kaba, at the wheel of that vehicle, tried to smash his way out of that police roadblock, as you saw very clearly from the police body camera footage that was made widely available throughout the trial itself. And of course, after, or actually during the trial, and certainly subsequent to the trial, more details came out about the background of Chris Kaba, an individual who was a key member of a notorious London gang responsible for a great deal of violence and drug dealing in the capital. Chris Kaba himself was a key suspect wanted by police for the shooting of another man in a nightclub in South London just a week before he died himself. Now, the officers, of course, stopping him that day in Streatham in South London didn't know he was wanted for another shooting, but the vehicle he was driving in did flash up on their automated number plate recognition system as being linked to another firearms offence. So they were proceeding with a great deal of caution, knowing that this individual may well be linked to firearms.
And it turned out that indeed he was. But Mark, what does this say about where we've got to as a country, where it does seem that the people who try and keep us safe, who act, who run towards the danger and indeed take those decisions that do keep us safe, that we seem to put them through the ringer more than we do the criminals that often they try and lock up?
Yeah, I mean, who would want to be an armed police officer? It's a voluntary job. They don't get paid anymore for carrying a firearm and potentially having to make a decision that, yes, could end someone's life, but which will absolutely hang over them, sometimes for years, as they're dragged through the system, the court system. Thus far, no jury in this country has ever convicted an armed officer who, in carrying out their duty, has taken another person's life, because the jury, in hearing the facts of the cases, have all been persuaded that that officer didn't set out to harm or kill anybody on that particular day, but was doing their job to the best of their ability to protect the public, and made split-second decisions in very unenviable positions. And we saw, as I say, from the body-worn camera footage, which is absolutely absolutely astonishing how this vehicle, a dangerous, deadly weapon, was being used to smash into those police vehicles, reversing and then going forward, trying to smash his way out of that particular roadblock. And a jury, on hearing this evidence, felt there was no case to answer for this particular officer.
Mark, I'm very interested to know your view on why the IOPC is doing this. So this is the body that's going to investigate him once again for gross misconduct. Why do you suppose they're doing this? Is it ideological? Is it pressure from the family? Are they worried about pressure from black communities who are impacted by this? What do you think it is, Mark?
Well, if you speak to people within policing, as I do very regularly, you know, they are extremely critical of the IOPC, yes, on ideological grounds, and all too often, according to many in the police service, they will be swayed by the feelings of family members. And of course, when they bring a particular case, even if that goes against them, it seems that they can't just let it go, that they want to continue to pursue it for some kind of a result. But the difficulty with this is that the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, Sir Mark Rowley, said in terms after this case that they need to change the laws really around the use of deadly force by firearms officers and the way that they are held to account by bodies like the IOPC, because, you know, their actions are judged through a microscope in minute detail long after the events themselves, those fast-moving and frightening events in which an officer is being called upon to make those split-second decisions. And what it is doing is it having a very, very chilling effect on those who are, you know, putting themselves forward for the onerous task of carrying a firearm. And we saw, with this case and others before it, a number of firearms officers who felt it just wasn't worth it. And I think we may well be seeing the same again. If this officer is dragged through a disciplinary hearing that might then end his career, then it may be that other armed officers feel it's just not worth carrying that weapon and taking on this huge responsibility.
Mark White, there is so much more to say on this issue. We'll, of course, be joining you in the next hour as, of course, more reaction floods in. But for now, our security editor, Mark White, thanks indeed for joining us.
Yeah, I mean, Joanne's got in touch. She says exactly that. I had a family member in the firearms. He left the unit after this incident. They're not paid any extra. She says it's totally voluntary. I mean, whose team are we on these days, eh?
At GB News, we believe in the power of free speech. We're not afraid to ask the tough questions, challenge the status quo, and give you a voice. While others silence dissent, we champion the truth. By becoming a GB News member, you're not just supporting free speech, you're defending it. Please consider supporting us today. Together, we'll hold the powerful to account and make sure that your voice is always heard. Simply go to gbnews.com/support and stand with us for what matters most.